You know, if you go back and you watch wrestling from the 80s and 90s, and in Vince McMahon's case, it's the 80s and 90s, but in Eric Bischoff's case, it's the 90s. If you go back and watch any WWF show where McMahon is the play-by-play announcer, or if you watch any Nitro where Bischoff is on commentary, if you watch it now, it's so ridiculous to hear them both on commentary because it's like when Bischoff is on a Nitro in 95, 96, and he's acting like, I don't know what's going on. Wow, how could this happen? And it's like you fast forward now and then you realize he was booking the show. He knows everything. It comes off as like so like insincere watching it back. Like as a kid in the 90s, I didn't know Vince McMahon was the owner of the company until it was revealed in 97. I never knew that. Most at least kids, you didn't know Vince McMahon was the booker and the owner of the company. You just thought he was the announcer. Like as a kid, you believe kayfabe, so it was like Jack Tunney's the president, and or Piper's the commissioner or whatever. You didn't really know. No, Vince McMahon owns the company. As far as a kid, adults knew whatever the case. If you're into the inside the dirt sheets, you knew. But as a kid, I didn't know that until it was revealed. McMahon's the owner of the WWF in 97, 98, whatever that was. The same thing with Bischoff. To me, as a kid, Bischoff was this announcer guy. But going back now and knowing everything now, it's like so insincere when McMahon's like, "How could this happen?" And he's straining his voice, and oh god, I thought Vince McMahon was a horrible announcer, and I thought Bischoff was, he's all right. I always thought Vince McMahon was terrible. He was cartoonish. He was garbage, and he tried to make Michael Cole him, and whatever the case. But um, recently, Jim Ross did an interview on Vince McMahon, and he mentioned how he thinks that a lot of the heat that Vince McMahon had with him was McMahon was jealous of JR as an announcer. You never hear people say Vince McMahon was the best announcer ever, or even a great announcer. I don't remember anyone ever saying that. There's people debating, was Gorilla Monsoon a good announcer or was he too cartoonish as well? But whatever. Bruce Pritchard, he steps in and he recently gave his views on McMahon as a commentator. Bruce Pritchard said, Bruce Pritchard, oh, he needs to be investigated too. Hit the like button. Pritchard said, as far as McMahon on commentary, he says, I think Vince McMahon saw himself as the voice of the company, as the voice of World Wrestling Entertainment. And he was the commentary. He felt that he knew how to sell it. I never believed him. Going back now, I can't believe nothing he sells. First of all, even back then, I didn't. Vince McMahon, like to me, he was like he just had like such like a fake carnival. He like such a carny voice. I never liked McMahon on commentary. Even back then, when I only thought he was an announcer, he was never good at it. Now, was it funny like in the 80s when like he'd be on commentary with like a Jesse Ventura and Ventura would roast him? McMahon. Yeah, that was funny. But that's Jesse Ventura who was great. I thought McMahon was always horrible. Now, horrible meaning cartoonish and phony. Michael Cole is another level of horrible, so let's be clear. Pritchard says McMahon was the commentary. He felt that he knew how to sell it. A lot of people get confused with what Vince did. People get hung up on Vince is the worst play by play guy in the business. He was, absolutely. But Vince didn't do play by play. Okay, there's Pritchard again not making sense. Pritchard just says people think Vince is the worst play by play guy. And then he says he was. But then he says Vince didn't do play by play. Okay, you just said he was the worst, but then you said he didn't do it. Bruce Pritchard, you talk about a two-headed snake. Oh, Bruce Pritchard, brother love. Oh, Bruce Pritchard said, or Pritchard goes on. He says, Vince's purpose was to guide viewers through the show from a fan's perspective, using the match as a backdrop to tell a broader story. Thank you. I didn't know what announcers do. His goal was to explain the why and the stakes behind what was happening, to build excitement and intrigue. I'm sorry. At the time, and even going back now to the shows in the 80s and 90s, I never thought McMahon built excitement. I never thought he was a good announcer. I never thought he was good at selling. I thought he was cartoonish and irritating. Always. Pritchard goes on, Vince McMahon on commentary, he told stories. And the backdrop was a wrestling match. Great, that's what they try to turn Michael Cole into doing. Michael Cole, he doesn't call moves, he tells stories. Well, have you ever thought that you people are not good storytellers? Now here's where Pritchard is still slurping McMahon's nuts. McMahon, he wasn't a play-by-play guy, he was a storyteller. Gordon Soley told you about the German suplex. JR would call the holds and what have you. That's all fine. JR's a great play-by-play guy, but he had difficulty sometimes telling stories. This is the stupidity of a Bruce Pritchard. He is slurping McMahon's nuts as usual. He just said JR was great at play-by-play, but he couldn't tell stories. I'm sorry, the announcer's job is not to tell stories. It's to do play-by-play, you goddamn idiot. Brother Love, how... I wish New Jack would have just stabbed him repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. Why couldn't New Jack throw Pritchard off that scaffold? Forget Vic Grimes. I guess Pritchard would have had a hell of a time climbing up there, but why couldn't Undertaker throw Pritchard off the cell and then chokeslam him through it? Why Mick Foley? Well, Mick Foley's an idiot, but why don't these things happen to Bruce Pritchard? Damn. Oh my, just slurping McMahon's nuts. The play-by-play announcer is supposed to call the moves. No. No. Vince wasn't a play-by-play guy. He was a storyteller. So Pritchard is putting McMahon above JR because JR was not telling stories about some garbage storyline that oh my God. Because JR was actually calling the moves and the holds. Somehow that means he had difficulties on commentary. But Vince McMahon in '95, when he's calling matches for Duke the Dumpster Drosy, McMahon, he knew how to get the Duke over. McMahon really knew how to get the Red Rooster over. Oh, the Goon. Who? Oh, who could forget when McMahon was on commentary in the mid-late 90s and McMahon would promote La Femme Nikita. Man, I always hated those USA Network shows. They were always trash. USA Network is one of the worst networks ever. It has to be. I hated all them stupid shows. They always for 30 years they tried to use Raw to promote these garbage shows. La Femme Nikita. Didn't they air Walker Texas Ranger? Was that USA Network? Was in the '90s? Well, what channel? What channel did Walker Texas Ranger? Was it USA? The episode where Steve Austin was on there was great, but I man, what's the dude's name? What's the Peckerwood and Walker Texas Ranger? What's his name? Chuck Norris. Oh, he's so overrated, man. You marks on the internet. Why do you love Chuck Norris so much? He's so overrated. He's the Cody Rhodes of Hollywood. With that said, hit the like button. Share this video with someone you know who's into wrestling. Share this video to other wrestling YouTube channels so they can hear what a good commentary sounds like. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're not. If you enjoy my content, you can donate to the Cash App or the Venmo. It's XDN Online. A lot of my videos on this channel come from suggestions from those who donate. Talk about this, talk about that. Thanks to the individual who donated for the Ernest the Cat Miller video. Once again, of all the people in WCW in 1998, you could have said Goldberg, Hogan, Nash, Hall, DDP, Piper, Juventud, Conan, but you picked Ernest the Cat Miller. Anyway, I'm up out of here. That is it.